Hey, what's up, everybody? GleeCon back at you again. Whoa there. Hold on. Buckle up. We got another episode of Lore of Warcraft here, and we're going to continue the novel of the Warcraft movie with Chapter 13. On Chapter 12, we saw Medivh freak out that Khadgar was examining the fell, and they realized someone summoned the orcs to Azeroth. They didn't just come as a warmongering party. Interesting. Who did it? All right, let's find out. You also check me out if you want to see. We got ready. We kind of wrapped up some of the quests when we went our first Blackrock Depths foray. We got ready to go back in, which we'll do a couple days. Here we go. Stay a while and listen. Chapter 13. They had spent the morning in preparation. Durotan was gladder than he could say that Orgrim had given his full support to the plan. His second had insisted on taking a few scouts out to the appointed meeting place. They would set up, Orgrim told his chieftain, and then Durotan and the rest could join him. The Frostwolf chieftain, meanwhile, had quietly alerted his clan to his intentions, speaking with them and allaying their concerns. Now several warriors stood ready beneath the black rock. They burned evergreen boughs, sending up a fragrant, smoky signal that would, Durotan hoped, guide the humans to the specific spot. The area was stony and bare. The Black Mountain and its foothills towered over the single narrow switchback path that was the only road to the meeting place. Orgrim stood beside him. Durotan's eyes were on the path, watching for any sign of movement. He had told Garona to be there when the sun was highest, and that had passed. The humans were late. Would they even come at all? He wondered morosely. Had Garona something? Glinted along the trail. Durotan slitted his eyes, straining to see. There came another flash, and he realized he was looking at a long line of armored humans riding atop their hooved mounts. Weapons, Durotan shouted. At once his warriors stopped feeding the fire and went to arm themselves just in case. They were on edge, as was Orgrim. Durotan had never seen his friends this ill at ease. He understood. He, too, had never been so unsettled before either a parley or a battle. These were strange times, but he was firm in the correctness of his choice. A good spot for an ambush, Orgrim commented, looking up at the peaks that closed in around them. Our sentries are well placed. Orgrim grunted. I will check again, he said, and moved off. Durotan nodded absently, his attention fully on the line of soldiers winding their way toward him. 40, perhaps 50 of them, all told. Beside him, the warrior Zarka snorted. So many they bring, she said. They must be very fearful. They could have brought many more, Zarka, Durotan said. Perhaps they did. If so, Orgrim will find out. Chieftain, Zarka looked at Durotan. I follow you, but I mislike this. We did not like being forced to leave our home, but we had no choice. I do not believe we have one now either. Zarka looked at her chieftain searchingly, then thumped her fist over her heart in a salute. Durotan glanced up, seeking Orgrim. His second in command stood on a ridge above him. He turned to Durotan and made a broad signal with his arms. All is well. They were closer now, the stream of humans and beasts spreading out onto the valley floor. Finally, about 50 feet away, the human in the lead lifted his hand and the soldiers halted. He wore armor that seemed to Durotan to be delicate and decorative. His head was bare, as was that of the man who rode beside him, with a blue-eyed gaze as sharp as a sword. The two men slipped off their mounts, and Garona followed. Kill them, something inside him shouted. They are not orcs. Kill them. No, the lives of my people are more important than bloodlust. He clenched his hands tightly, not to make a fist, but to stop them from trembling in their desire to fasten about the slender human throats. The humans walked several steps toward him, then halted, waiting for him to close the distance. Durotan did, striding to within a few feet of them. How small they are, he thought. How fragile, more like Garona than us. But how brave. You asked to speak with the human king, Garona said to him. She gestured to the dark-haired, dark-eyed human. Here he stands. Durotan couldn't bring himself to utter a word. He was too busy trying to control his instincts. The humans exchanged glances, and the king broke the tense silence with his strange, clipped language. This is King Lane, Garona said. He says he was told you wish to talk. Durotan inhaled a deep breath, willing himself to be calm, and nodded. The other man next to Lane said something quickly, looking at Durotan with more than a hint of wariness. And when Lothar wishes to know if you plan to return to your home through the portal you are building, Corona translated. Our world is dying, Durotan said. There is nothing to go back to. We are not responsible for destroying your world, Lane said through Corona. War with us will solve nothing. Durotan sighed deeply and thought of Orgrim's words earlier. For orcs, he said, war solves everything. Then why are you meeting with us now? The question was from Lane, who regarded Durotan fixedly. For the first time since the parley had begun, Durotan met those eyes. He saw no fear in them, only watchfulness, steadiness, and curiosity. This Lane did not know how honorable orcs were, or how much Durotan had wrestled with this decision. He knew nothing other than what Corona had told him, and yet he had come. He had come for the same reason Durotan had. To save our people, Durotan told him. When Corona translated, the king looked surprised. He exchanged glances with the one called Lothar, and Corona looked at Durotan expectantly. The fell takes life from more than its victims, Durotan explained. It kills the earth and corrupts those who use it. We saw this happen before in my world of Draenor. The land died. Creatures were twisted. Even the spirits were harmed. Gul'dan would poison everything with his death magic here as he did there. If my people are to survive, Gul'dan must be destroyed. In 2 suns, the humans we have captured will be used to fuel the portal. If you attack our camp and draw his warriors away, the Frostwolf clan will kill him. Lane listened intently as Corona translated, nodding now and then. He and Lothar conversed, then he turned again to Durotan. 2 days. If we do this, you will protect my people. Until then. Durotan thought of the cages, of the torment those inside them endured. Most of the orcs ignored the humans, but some did not. But this king wanted them safe, just as Durotan would want the same if their roles were reversed. I will try, he began, unwilling to give his word on something he could not necessarily offer. His words were drowned out by a roar behind him. All around them, green-skinned orcs leaped up from where they had been concealed by rocks, scrub trees, and cracks in the stone cliffs, charging at the Frostwolves, with axes, hammers, and maces. Durotan saw the comprehension in Lane's brown eyes just as he himself realized what had happened. They had been betrayed, and Durotan's heart cracked as he understood by whom. Trying to think who it might have been. I mean, one of his clansmen. Get back! Lothar, the lifelong soldier, had recovered from the shock first, drawing his sword and leaping atop Reliant. Lane was right behind him, already mounted on his own steed. Corona, her head swimming with a shock at what she had just witnessed, was jolted out of her horror by a thunderous crashing sound. She whirled, seizing the reins of her horse, to behold a massive boulder hurtling down the cliffside toward them. Her mount neighed with terror, bolting and tearing the reins from her hands. The other riderless horses joined them. Lothar had told Corona the beasts had been trained for combat, but clearly not for this. Corona howled with rage at being weaponless, save for the queen's gift of the small bejeweled dagger. It would be less than useless against maces, axe, and morning stars. Frustrated, she looked about wildly. She saw small, green-skinned figures atop the canyon's walls. Those orcs had doubtless been the ones to roll down the boulders. More orcs were flowing down beside the king's soldiers, blocking the sole escape route. Others exploded out of seemingly harmless piles of stones along the path. The battle was on in earnest. Lane and Lothar rode their steeds through the chaos, attempting to defend those who had been a moment too late and were now fighting unmounted. A massive bellow of gleeful bloodlust came from her right, and Corona was turned. This orc's skin was not just tinged with green, but saturated with it. He was enormous, almost as big as Blackhand, and held a huge shield adorned with the skull of a twin-horned beast in front of him. The orc was very effectively using that shield as a second weapon. He barreled through the cluster of armored soldiers like a charging animal without the faintest slackening of speed. He scattered them as if they were nothing more than the tiny toy soldiers Corona recalled from the strategy maps, knocked aside by a casual hand. The twin great sharp horns on the shield found a target, Lothar's horse. Fear descended upon Garona unlike anything she had ever known. Anduin Lothar would surely die right in front of her, and she could do nothing to help. She had witnessed battle and death before, but always she had felt nothing but resentment and anger toward those who had fallen. She did not feel that toward Lothar. Even as the unfamiliar clutch of terror seized Garona's throat and turned her gut to ice, Lothar leaped clear of the dying animal as lightly as if he wore no armor at all. As he sprang, he raised his sword and brought it down, angling behind the great shield and into the orc's throat. The orc toppled down, followed by the dead horse, by seconds. Lothar whirled, then stooped to pick up a pike dropped by one of Lane's soldiers. He raised his head and met Garona's eyes. For a heartbeat their gazes locked, and then reaching a decision, Lothar tossed the half-orc the pike. She caught it easily, her fingers curving around the weapon. Tempered joy rose inside her. She could now defend herself with honor, and Anduin Lothar had just demonstrated that he trusted her. As another orc surged forward, Lothar whirled, sword glinting in the sunlight. It clanged against the metal of an axe blade, but did not break. Steel on steel shrieked, and sparks flew as Lothar's blade slid off down the shaft and bit deep into the orc's arm. Suddenly the great axe dangled masterless as its wielder's hand, still clutching it, swung by only a few sinews from the orc's arm. Lothar took advantage of the orc's momentary pause to drive the blade through his enemy's chest. A third charged toward him. Lothar ran toward it, not slowing as he approached a mounted knight, instead dropping and sliding beneath the horse's body to emerge, sword ready to stab upward and gut the startled orc. "Lane!" he shouted above the din of battle. "You're no good to us dead! Get out! I'll get the others!" The king, too, was holding his own as he shouted back, "We're all getting out. Medivh will cover our retreat." Lothar hadn't paused in his attacks. The men were gravitating toward him now as if he were a living banner, and they were drawing strength from his seemingly limitless supply. Medivh. The Guardian's name roused Garona from her rapt fascination with Lothar's astounding ferocity. As they had approached the meeting site, Medivh had told them he could protect them better if he could see them all. He had taken his horse up to watch them from above. Now Garona tore her gaze from Lothar to gaze upward, trying to spot Medivh. Where was he? Why was he not acting? She did not see him, but she did see someone else. Blackhand, mounted atop a wolf, peering down at the ambush. And beside Gul'dan's war chief stood Orgrim, Doomhammer. Oh man, that was my first thought when he realized who betrayed him. But I was kind of hoping it wouldn't have been Orgrim. Oof. Orgrim Doomhammer betrayed Thrall's daddy. It betrayed us all. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, today, this morning, whatever it is in your life. And join me again next time. In the meantime, smash that subscribe and add some comments, all that good stuff. Keep on being part of the community because I love it. See you guys on the next one. This episode's in the pipe. 5x5.